So we have a wonderful next keynote speaker. He is the director of the Yerevan Public Radio. So please welcome Mr. Garegin Khumaryan.
Hello, dear friends, dear colleagues. Nice to see and hear you all. Is my voice okay? Do you hear me?
Yes, very clear.
Okay. Let's summarize. As you already know, on September 27, our country has been attacked by Azerbaijan, directly supported by Turkey, and now, unfortunately, we have what we have. I warned my friends that the presentation would be much shorter than expected. They told me that that would do. It's okay. So I have to devote several words to the conflict itself for your better understanding. Nagorno-Karabakh, or Artsakh in Armenian wording, is a part of Armenia populated by our compatriots for at least 2,000 years. But in early 20s of the last century, when South Caucasus was absorbed by Soviet Russia, Artsakh was attached to neighboring Azerbaijan by Joseph Stalin. By the collapse of the Union, Armenians of Artsakh that had been subjected to permanent discrimination by Azerbaijan attempted to reunite with Armenia. Azerbaijan reacted by an attempt of a genocide. You may have heard of Baku or Sumgait pogroms. So war broke out, our compatriots in Artsakh resisted, and we were in the conditions of ceasefire since 1994. On September 27, the ceasefire had been violated by a massive attack. Azerbaijan was directly supported by Turkish army deployed on their territory, as well as Syrian Islamist mercenaries. Now the radio, and why the story is short. Starting from the very first hours of the war, we have switched off all the programs and doubled the amount of newscasts. For those 44 days, we have been broadcasting only news and music, and that was the last decision that I, as a director, have made. Because after making those changes, I left Yerevan and went to Stepanakert, the capital city of Artsakh, as I thought to help our colleagues from the Artsakh Public Radio. I actually have worked there probably for 2 days, but then I understood that I will be much more useful at the front line. I left the radio, volunteered for the army, and was taken directly to the defense line and became an ordinary radio listener. The story is short because I have no idea how my friends and colleagues here in the public radio building had been coping with their mission, but as a radio listener, I'm quite satisfied. That's why the story is short.
Does anyone have any questions so far?
I want to ask a question, if it's possible. It's around Medik Shahnazan speaking.
Yeah, sure. Please go
first
ahead.
of all, hello to everyone. It's really very interesting for me to hear speeches of my colleagues and my friends. I just want to ask Garegin Khumaryan. I know that in the wartime, there were no possibilities for our soldiers, even for the population in Karabakh, for the most part of population, to get access to the news streams. I don't know, on the web or on the TV station, and the radio became, may I say, one of the most, or maybe just only, in many cases, just only possibility to be connected with the world and to understand what's going on surrounding. So the public radio of Armenia, you told us just you are streaming just news and music. And can you say about the reactions of the soldiers in borderline? You were there on borderline. I just wanted many times to connect, to make connection with you. It was impossible. But I want to understand the importance of news in the borderline for the soldier who is standing there and fighting against enemy and wants to understand what's going on around him.
I must sincerely confess that the good thing about the war is that it brought a new renaissance to radio. I mean, the war made radio primary news source again for at least those tens of thousands of people who were on the front line. In fact, radio was the only available source of news for the army, and obviously the only thing that the soldiers, the officers, the personnel was interested in was to know how the things were going on in other parts of the front. So news, especially the news related to the war, and to be honest, there were no other news except the war news were extremely popular among the military personnel.
I have another question relating to this topics, because I think that's very interesting. On the international level, I think that the propaganda war of pictures is from TV is much more important. How the pictures are influencing the world opinion, let's say it in this way. And you now mentioned that inside the war situation, inside the country, the radio is much more important than TV. I think that's a very interesting. That's a very interesting words you said to have the differences between radio and TV.
I mean strictly the military personnel, which has no availability to TV or other types of media. Radio is the only available media for the people with machine guns, and obviously it's the only one. That's why it's so popular. I do not mean the civilians, I mean strictly the military personnel.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other questions? I guess this is a unique opportunity.
Indeed, the unique opportunity, if I may. Garegin, I know that personally you invested time and efforts in reshifting of the role of radio in Armenia and in Nagorno-Karabakh, and if there is a viable public broadcaster in Karabakh, let me pass part of the credit to you and your personal efforts. And how do you see the future of that type of broadcasting, both in Armenia? Maybe it's unrelated to the general topic on the war reporting, but I want to get back to the question of Dr. Resman. Because as the images are becoming much more vital in, if I may, in the fight for the minds and the souls, inverted commas, and what will be the future of the radio? What will be the future of broadcasting? What will be the future of traditional broadcasters? Because I believe that your experience in that area, that very specific and very challenging area, could be is very interesting for all of our partners.
Thank you very much for your question. I would not try to discover a bicycle. Our future is convergence, the magic word for this age. We shall be continuing removing the borders between the types of the media, the borders between the TV and radio, between radio and the print media. Armenian Public Radio is one of those broadcasters in Armenia which is producing quite a lot of video, in fact. So we are deep in that market, and that's the part of our future. I may say that also refers to the Artsakh Public Radio, which is being developed right now, which worked perfectly during the wartime. When I say that the radio was the only and obviously the most popular media among the military personnel, I do not mean only the public radio of Armenia, I mean also the public radio of Nagorno-Karabakh Republic, the Artsakh. Our colleagues there are also trying their best to make their products as convergent as possible. They are experimenting with video, with multimedia, and other things. And coming back to the Artsakh public radio, I will open a little military secret. I have no doubt that Artsakh public radio will become one of the best broadcasters in Europe. We must make it one of the best broadcasters. And now, in terms of the programs of post-war recovery, we must repair the station and must relaunch it, let's say. That's our mutual future, the future of the public radio of Armenia and the public radio of Artsakh.
Yes, now Mr. Andrea Roth from the German public broadcast also has a question.
Hello, Garegin. This is Andrea Roth. I'm working for the broadcast for the ARD and the Bavarian television. I also did a film from the side of Azerbaijan and also with the subject of Nagorno-Karabakh. It's a couple of years ago, but that comes to my question because we are always, if it comes to the international part, how do you support the international TV, radio stations, news agencies with trustable information and pictures? Because I noticed several times that we get some pictures from Nagorno-Karabakh, and we get it with different informations. Azerbaijan is taking the same pictures, putting another text on it, and you know, from us, from outside, it's a very confusing, very long conflicts, as all conflicts are, with different political sides, with supporters, with Russia, with Turkey, we need very much reliable and very authentic information and also pictures from the countries. So this is my question for you, to you, how do you provide us with trustable information? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. I would dare to correct you. This is not a typical conflict with sides, with political things and other things. I wouldn't even use the term. I wouldn't even use the term conflict towards this war, because what we are facing now is literally an attempt of a genocide. Is literally an attempt of a genocide with all relevant consequences. Also in terms of media. So the models that are well working in terms of other wars, in terms of other war zones, do not work here totally, because I repeat that this is not a war, this is not a conflict, this is an attempt of a genocide with all relevant consequences. Thank you very much.
No, this is not what I wanted. I didn't want to make up a political discussion, just to correct this. It's a typical conflict in the sense for us.
It is not a typical conflict.
That we are, no, just let me.
It is not a typical conflict.
I just want to end my phrase, maybe when you understand me.
You must start your phrase from the right terms. That's why it will not work otherwise.
Okay, but Ms. Wood can still ask her question, I think.
Let me intervene. I believe that there is a misperception by
I think so too.
by the colleagues, because yes, the question is right. We are living in a world with that sort of technologies that each and every picture, each and every footage, each and every audio notice can be attributed to this, that, or another situation.
This is what I wanted to ask.
In this war, yes, we really observed a mass of disinformation, a mass of abuse of photos, videos, and other type of materials. And this is another challenge in the 21st century, and we are facing it everywhere, in each and every conflict.
This is what I wanted to say.
Footages from Syria, footages from other parts of the world attributed to this or that part of the conflict. That's why I believe that reputation of the news organization is becoming much more pivotal and vital. Otherwise, the only intangible asset that each and every of us has is that trust and understanding of our mission of true reporting. On one hand is this. On the other hand, at the wartime, it is very hard to definitely verify the footage that is provided by this or that news organization. Definitely very hard, because there is always a temptation to give it first-handed, to have a more dramatic image, and you will see it everywhere, not only in the conflict in our region. And this is becoming quite a challenge, and of course this deserves another discussion, another debate, to come up with another rulings of professional ethics, because in reality, I don't believe in information wars. It never happens. Information is something that is an added value to the situation. It cannot appear from somewhere and go somewhere. The times of you remember the movie, Tail Wagging the Dog. That time has already passed. We are in the post-industrial society where fake news are becoming a blown balloon. And only reputation and only reputable news organizations have the mission to blow up that balloon. And in this regard, let me protect inverted commas Garegin, because public radio was and has very high standards of news verification and very good tradition of verifying the news. And if there are mistakes that maybe we made in our daily work, I think Garegin, me, and all the other Armenian journalists and media managers are really eager to discuss it, because for us, our future is not a future of an isolated island. We are part of this world, and we want to be understood by our colleagues everywhere, and we want our reputation to be on the highest possible level, and to be to have a dialogue with you on the highest possible level of trust and of mutual benefit, because 1 + 1 in our profession, it gives synergy, it becomes 3. So in this regard, I believe that there was a misperception, not due to anything else, but due to very personal, maybe it might sound a little bit different, but we are all human, and maybe very personal perception of very recent events that Garegin himself observed there, being on the ground, being in Stepanakert. So this is the fog that I wanted to remove, the emotional part over the question, and as I believe what Garegin was telling was that.
Yeah. It was just mainly the question about what was typical for me was this spreading out of fake news. And as Lena knows and Mr. Resma knows, I have been in Azerbaijan one time. I know about the faking of news. I talked to reporters there, and I know what is happening there. But these news are also coming to us, and we are supported with a lot of news, and mainly sometimes the main pictures, and it's really very confusing. And we have a fact-checking department, and so for me it was more the attempt to strengthen the relationships to you, maybe to come to, if we need to, an authentic information. So it was not an attack from my side. So I think it was a misunderstanding.
Nobody believed so I believe my friend also. Yeah. This type of discussions are for this purpose, to at the end to find the balanced and the viable formulas for cooperation.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid we are indeed, in some type of misunderstanding, I just wanted the correct terms to be used, nothing more. So I agree with my colleague, Mr. Ananyan. That's all about standards and reputation and right terms.
Yes, thank you very much. I agree. I think those kind of also, yeah, discussions and debates are very important. So we shouldn't exclude them, but really try to be in touch. And like how Ms. Roth said, I mean, it's good to try to communicate also in this project right now, because now we are all together, and this is something very special, that we're all maybe not sitting next to each other, but looking at each other. And yeah, so does anyone want to add anything or have another question? No, not for now. Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Garegin Khumaryan, for your time,
My pleasure.
for your speech.